Hi everybody, Karen here, and I would like to lead you through an evening flow, which should be great to kind of wind down after the end of a long day, just to prepare for a really nice, relaxed evening ahead. So thanks for joining me, and let's go ahead and start standing up at the front of the mat. Just by the way, you might want to have either a book or a yoga block if you've got one, or maybe even a cushion for Shavasana at the end, but really we won't be using a lot in the way of props tonight. Okay, so we'll start at the top of the mat, feet about hip width apart in our Tadasana mountain pose. Breathing deeply, finding your feet, spreading your toes, leaving your toes relaxed, and feeling the rest of your foot like little rectangles grounding into the floor. And then you can really feel your full height, your full length coming into your spine. The palms are face forward just to give yourself a nice openness through the chest. Breathing deeply here. And just being in the here and now for a moment. We'll keep breathing mostly through the nose in this practice, so allow each inhale, each exhale to go a little bit longer, a little bit slower, a little bit deeper. And that next inhale, we'll send the arms up overhead. As we exhale, we're going to fold forward, hinging from the hips. Inhaling up to a flat back here with the hands on the shins. Exhaling, belly toward the thighs. As we inhale, we're going to unroll one vertebra at a time. The end of the inhale sends the palms to touch. As we exhale, we take it to heart center. That's half sun salutation. Let's go again. Inhaling to rise, exhaling to fold forward, inhaling to a flat back, exhaling belly toward the thighs, inhaling to rise one vertebra at a time. End of the inhale sends the palms to touch, and exhaling, we take it to heart center. One more time, inhaling deeply to rise, exhaling to fold forward, and this time let's grab onto the elbows and just sway it out side to side with the knees nice and soft here. Big inhales, big exhales. Let the head be heavy, let the neck be relaxed here. Take one more big inhale, and then as we exhale, the hand's gonna fall down wherever they want to land, and gradually we'll sit our way down into a squat. Could be a little higher squat with the fingertips walking forward, or coming down into a nice deep squat here, hugging your arms around your legs. Just be where your knees and your hips are happy here. And then once we're ready, we'll place the hands down if they're not there already, and step the left foot all the way back. From here, that back knee is going to come down. Inhaling, we rise, sending the chest forward, and then we exhale, the hands come down, and we sit it back into a quarter split. That right hip wraps in a direction behind you. Front foot is flexed. All right, inhale, we're going to come forward here, and then as we exhale, we're going to plant the hands and step that right foot back into downward facing dog. So that tailbone shoots high. Maybe that first time here we pedal out the heels, we give the head another little bit of a shake. Finally, both heels settle toward the mat, just as far as they want to go. And take a big inhale here, coming up to the tiptoes, and as we exhale, the knees are going to come down, forearms come down as well. We're going to leave the hips stacked right over the knees and crawl the arms forward. Forearms crawl forward, maybe the chest even reaches toward the mat. The chin comes onto the mat, if it will. Could be the forehead too. Then as we're ready, we're going to inhale to come forward into Sphinx. So the belly's on the mat. We can kind of rearrange ourselves a little bit here. And the shoulders are stacked right over the elbows here. Tops of the feet are down. And we're just reaching up and out of the low back. We don't have to be looking up. Let's try to keep the neck nice and neutral here, so we'll look forward. A little engagement between the shoulder blades, maybe a little squeeze there to make sure that our collarbone area and chest are still having some space. Then if you want to come into seal, we could go for that, just taking the feet and the hands over toward the corners of the mat and pushing up and off the elbows. Little back bends. If this is too intense, come back down to Sphinx and breathing deeply. As we're ready, take a big inhale and exhaling the hands right back by the chest, pushing back into child's pose. The forehead comes onto the mat. Traditional child's pose, the legs are a little bit closer together. Hands reach toward the feet, and the forehead could get a nice massage on the mat here, just rocking it back and forth. From here, next inhale is going to take us up, just standing on the knees, reaching high. As we exhale, we're going to take the hands back down, find a tabletop, and pop into downward facing dog. Deep inhales, deep exhales. As we inhale, we look forward between the hands. As we exhale, the left foot steps forward, back knee comes down. We inhale to rise into Anjaneyasana, sinking through the hips, and exhaling the hands forward. I'm going to taking it right back into our quarter splits. Right, so that left hip wraps back behind you, getting a nice stretch here. Inhaling to crawl forward and exhaling, the right foot steps forward, right meets left, and we sink right into that squat, whichever one you picked. Being down in that deep squat, we can really give ourselves a hug here. Take a big inhale, and as we exhale, the hands come down and we come into a nice forward fold. As we inhale, we come up one vertebra at a time, and as the inhale sends the palms to touch, and we exhale to heart center. Right, that was the first side. So breathe, see how you feel. And we'll start that second side here. As we inhale, we rise. As we exhale, we fold forward. As we inhale, coming to that number 7 shape, and exhaling into your chosen squat, maybe a little less deep, spidering the fingertips forward, pulling the butt back, or sinking all the way down. All right, from here, if your hands aren't already down, we take them there. Coming up just enough to step the right foot all the way back. Back knee comes down. We inhale to find our Anjaneyasana. And then exhaling the hands down and coming into that quarter splits. Maybe even waving that foot side to side, flexed, and then down to point it a little bit more, stretch the top of the foot, wave it side to side. Just get into all these little sensations here. Big inhale here, coming forward, just enough to step it back into downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. Might feel better every single time we come into that downward facing dog. Take a big inhale here, and as we exhale, we take the knees down to that tabletop position, forearms right back down, and we find once more that puppy dog pose, crawling the arms forward, getting that nice stretch to the front of the shoulders here. And then when you're ready, just crawling it forward. I'm going to rearrange myself here a little bit, and this time we'll just get into a super gentle back bend by folding the forearms one on top of the other and resting your forehead there. for this pose, traditional crocodile, the feet usually are pointing outward, the toes pointing outward. So see if that feels nice to you. And just a few breaths and breathe here. You'll notice this is super gentle back bend, and we're also getting some acupressure on the forehead to help calm the nervous system. So allow your forehead to be heavy on those forearms. Take one more big inhale here. And then as we exhale, we're going to take the hands right by the sides of the chest and again push it back into child's pose. Being gentle with yourself, breathing here. On that next inhale, we're going to rise right onto the knees, just reaching high. And then as we exhale, the hand's going to come down just enough to push ourselves back up into that downward facing dog. Breathing deeply here. As we inhale, we look forward between the hands. As we exhale, that right foot steps forward, back knee comes down. Inhaling to shine that heart forward, arms rise. Exhaling, the hands frame that front foot and we sit it back into that quarter splits. And we can start with that flexed foot and begin to wave it side to side. And then bring the foot down toward the mat. And again, wave it side to side and just see what kind of sensations you get here. Everything's connected, right? And from here, we bring ourselves forward, walking the hands forward. And then we're going to step that back foot, left foot meets right, back foot comes forward. We find that squat once more. Just relaxing in whichever squat you chose. If you're in that deep squat, we're going to round out the back a lot. If you're in a little higher squat, we'll end up lying down. So if you're in that deep squat, round out the back eventually, the butt touches, and then we roll back onto the mat, just giving ourselves a nice massage here. Great. Just let it feel good here. And then from here, this is where you may want to use a block. I'll show you a couple of options. So the first option is going to be just a very supported sort of inversion where you're going to lift the hips and place the block right underneath the sacrum, sort of right above the butt crack there. And then just lift the feet. So that's our first version, and you may want to stay there. But if you've already got a shoulder stand in your practice, or you want to play with that, we can use it without the block and come to that feet up position. Make sure you're not looking side to side as you exhale to push the hips up. And then eventually we end up in this sort of candlestick pose here. Making sure you're supporting the low back with the hands here. Big inhale, and again, you might want to stay here. Or again, if you want to play or you're feeling bendy, make sure you're not looking side to side and take the feet overhead, right behind your head, into plow pose, halasana. A lot is being compressed here. That's why my voice is changing. Oh boy. And then from here, we may want to come into ear pressure pose, taking the knees somewhere near the ears. Maybe coming back into shoulder stand. So just playing around with it here. Few breaths, maybe give it 5 breaths total. And if you're on that block, just enjoy that inversion. very gently. Whenever you're ready to come out of this, we're going to take the knees in toward the ears once more. Really use the core. And if you're feeling comfortable with it, taking the hands down by the sides, or continue to support the low back and just roll out of it here until we come out long. And then coming into a slight back bend here as a counter pose to what we just did. Again, a couple of options. If you want to use the block, place it between your shoulder blades and just lie down over it to open up the chest. And then, again, if you want to do a more traditional fish pose, we would take our body just out long and take the arms, crawl them right underneath so that your hands are kind of right underneath your tush with the palms down. Once you get into this position, again, we're kind of in candlestick mode here where everything's out long, the arms are underneath. I begin to really open up through the collarbones here, and eventually, if I'm feeling it, I bend the elbows. That takes my chest up off the floor, and the top of my head might come down, or it might just be floating here. Either way, if you're using the block, or if you're in that traditional fish pose, you can really feel that it's easy to breathe in this position. It really opens up the chest and lungs. Take a big inhale. If the top of your head is down, lift it up, and then exhaling. We roll out of this, taking it all side to side. And then when we're ready, taking a big inhale to stretch it up overhead. And as we exhale, let's hug that right knee into the belly, into the chest. Begin to rotate it around. We'll find a supine pigeon, so lifting the left leg and then placing the right ankle over that left thigh. We reach through that window the legs are creating, hugging the back of that left thigh. Nice little hip stretch here. From here, once again, we're going to take that left leg out long. I'm going to grab onto that right foot and just rotate the hip, rotate the leg. And then the forearms might come underneath that calf, maybe pulling it in a little bit. And then if you're feeling a little more bendy and or playful, you'll tuck the right foot into that crook of that left elbow. The right bicep comes around that right thigh. See if you can keep that left leg out long. But if that's not comfortable, you can have that left foot on the floor. So rocking it around here. This is our rock the baby pose, but supine, lying down. A lot of times this pose is done sitting up. I find it's like really nice. Gravity really is your friend in this position, the lying down. So whenever you're ready, coming out of this, and we'll place the right foot somewhere on that left thigh. We're going to scoot the hips over to the right once or twice, and go ahead and twist, sending the right knee to the left. Maybe that left hand helps out on top of that right thigh, and we're looking out over that right arm, which is out like a wing. Big inhale, find length. Exhale, we squeeze, we twist. And then as we inhale, we're going to open that twist back up, come to the center of the mat, find a half a happy baby here. I'm going to grab the outside of my right foot with my right hand. So you're giving a really nice thorough stretch to the hips here. And then we'll take it back into a resting pose. kind of a face-up paper doll shape on the mat. And notice if there's any difference now between the right and left sides. So let's go ahead and take that second side. Let's inhale the arms high. Stretch fingertips to toe tips, and then exhaling, we'll hug that left knee in. Good. From here we begin to lift that right leg up off the mat and fold the left ankle over the right thigh, finding supine pigeon on this side. Breathing deeply into whatever little pockets of tightening or stress that we're finding. If you've been sitting a lot today, these stretches might feel pretty intense. So be gentle with yourself, breathe into it, always finding your breath. We'll take that right leg out long now, and now we're going to begin to rotate that left leg, just grabbing onto that left foot somewhere. Just finding some mobility in the hip joint here. And then see how bendy you're feeling on this side. Maybe that calf comes onto the forearms and maybe you kind of hug in here. And maybe that left foot decides it wants to tuck into that right elbow, hugging in. In this particular practice, we have a lot of hugging yourself going on. Just rocking it side to side here. And from here, we're going to take that left foot into the right thigh. We're going to hop those hips over to the left once or twice, and then take that left knee to the right, looking out over that left arm. Breathing deeply, inhaling for length. And as we exhale, we feel that compression, we feel that twist. As we inhale, opening it back up, coming to the center of the mat here, and we'll find that half a happy baby on this side. So I'm grabbing the pinky toe side of the foot, and I'm directing the left knee toward that left armpit. Whether it ever gets there or not, doesn't really matter. It's more about the sensation, finding space in the body, and then we'll just invite the right leg to join the left, coming to a full-on happy baby, rolling around on the mat. Nice. Rolling it around here, and then eventually taking the soles of the feet together, the knees apart, lowering the legs down in a diamond shape. Connecting with your breath here, enjoying this passive stretch on the hips. And seeing if you want to stay here for another few breaths, or maybe even come right into our final Shavasana resting pose by taking one foot to one corner of the mat, the other foot to the other corner of the mat. Again, we're in this face-up paper doll shape, ready to relax. But if your low back is still feeling a little tweaky here, you can come into a slightly different shape. You could always take a cushion under your knees in this position, or you could have the soles of the feet on the mat, the knees together, the feet a little wider than hip width. But find a place that is comfortable for you, where you can spend a couple of minutes to just relax, just allowing yourself to be. Nothing to do, nowhere to be. Except right here, right now. Finding that deep relaxation. eventually, whenever you're ready, you can send some motion into the fingers, into the toes, into the ankles, into the wrists. Maybe you give yourself a big stretch up overhead, stretching it out one more time, fingers to toes. And exhaling to give yourself a giant hug, to hug in. Rolling it around, making it feel good, and then rolling it over to your favorite side, just coming to rest there for a moment, feeling yourself heavy into the earth. Feeling supported there. And then whenever you are ready, pushing yourself up gently from the hands, coming to an easy cross-legged position, giving yourself a few breaths. Thank you for making some space in your day. Just notice how good it feels. I wish you a beautiful evening. Namaste.